said yesterday, if the Prime Minister attended this gathering party event in Downing Street on the 20th of May, then he could not continue as Prime Minister. So regretfully, I have to say that his position is no longer tenable.
You think that Boris Johnson should resign as Prime Minister?
I made that clear. There was one simple question to answer yesterday, indeed since Monday night when we saw this invitation, which was to more than 100 people asking them to join others in the Downing Street garden and bring their own booze. If the Prime Minister was there and he accepted today that he was, then I felt he could not continue. What we also heard from the Prime Minister today was an apology, and he said with hindsight he would have done things differently, which for me is an acceptance from the Prime Minister that it was wrong, and therefore I don't want to be in this position, but I am in the position now where I don't think he can continue as leader of the Conservatives.
Have you told Boris Johnson that?
I spoke to the Prime Minister this afternoon and I set out my reasons and I explained to him my position.
How did he respond?
I think discussions between myself and the Prime Minister understandably remain between us. He believes that he didn't do anything wrong and he has put up a defence for his position. But I also have to look at the information I've got in front of me and to stick with the position that I made quite clear yesterday, that if he did attend that party, he couldn't continue as Prime Minister.
It's quite a brave, quite a bold thing to do, to be the first out of the traps to call for the Prime Minister's resignation. Do you feel a bit concerned about that?
I've got a position to take as an individual MP and as leader of the Scottish Conservatives to respond to understandable questions from the media and others. And I've taken a position, whether I'm the first or the last, to me doesn't make much of a difference. I've got to look at what I've said in the past, what others were asked to do at that time, and what the Prime Minister himself has accepted he did, and for which he has apologised for.
How much support do you think there is within the Scottish Conservatives for your position on this?
Well, again, this is a position that I've taken as an individual MP and MSP and leader.
But as leader,
but
crucially.
I know, speaking to colleagues here in the Scottish Parliament and in the UK Parliament, there is significant unrest and concern about the actions that took place in Downing Street on the 20th of May 2020.
Do you think that Boris Johnson will try and tough this out?
I think so. You know, we saw it, Prime Minister's questions today. He put up a defence to the Leader of the Opposition and other MPs who were asking these questions. But I'm in a position where I've got to look at what I've said in the past, what the Prime Minister has accepted he did himself in his response in the House of Commons today, and that's why I'm regretfully in this position that I'm calling for him to go to.
And everyone else can see that he's broken the rules, so you just think his position is completely untenable now?
Yes, because the evidence is clear. People were invited to bring their own booze, to enjoy the garden at Downing Street. That is, by any definition, a party, a gathering that wasn't allowed, and therefore the Prime Minister did break his own rules.
How quickly should he go?
That's a decision for the Prime Minister. I can only give my view, and I'm trying to be upfront and honest with people. I don't enjoy this. I get no enjoyment out of calling for this, but I just feel I've got a duty as an individual to explain my position and the reason I've come to this conclusion today.
You're also an MP. If he doesn't go, should the MPs decide to hold a motion of no confidence in him, a vote of no confidence in him?
Well, that's up to individual MPs what they do, but I think we have seen across the House some pretty really quite galling stories about how people were affected either themselves or by their constituents, and I think there is a strength of feeling across the political spectrum that this is a most serious issue.
But if he doesn't resign, do you think the party should get rid of him?
Well, that's my view as an individual, that I don't think his position as leader of the Conservatives and Prime Minister is tenable in the future.
Do you regret backing him in 2019 for the leadership?
Well, no, I don't, because in 2019 he promised a vision for the United Kingdom. He delivered a record result for the Conservatives, certainly in recent years. I was proud and privileged to serve under him as a minister. I've worked closely with him. This is a Prime Minister who quite often is in the news for what people think he's done wrong. But let's remember, the vaccine rollout that he spearheaded, his government led, has saved so many lives. The self-employed income support scheme, the job retention scheme, these are things brought in by Boris Johnson and his government that he is right to be proud of, and the way we have fought this pandemic and many other things. And that's why this is a difficult decision for me. This is why it's something I don't do lightly. But but I also can't ignore the facts that we have in front of us, which was he did attend a party that he shouldn't have.
So where does this leave your relationship with the wider Conservative Party across the UK?
Well, that's something we'll see in the coming days, weeks and months. But I think people knew when I put myself forward as leader of the Scottish Conservatives that I take strong opinions and views and I stick with them. And some people will agree with my decisions, some people will disagree, and that is the nature of politics. But in my role, in my position, I've got to come to a conclusion, and that's what I've done today.
And as a result of him attending this party, you don't think he's fit to be Prime Minister?
I don't think he can continue as leader of the Conservative Party and Prime Minister asking people to follow the rules and guidance of his government when I don't believe he did.